My adoptive mother picked me up from the river. My adoptive father would often point at me and curse, "You little brat, you're truly a burden." I lived cautiously and carefully, until I was 14 years old. My well-dressed biological parents suddenly showed up at our house. They cried and demanded I acknowledge my ancestry. Ever since I can remember, I've known I wasn't their biological child. Whenever I angered my adoptive father, he would shout loudly, "You're such an ungrateful thing! While I was out drinking, she fished you out of the river. I should have thrown you back then. To raise you, more than half of my hair has turned gray." My adoptive mother would gently smile and coax him. "Don't be afraid. Even if all your hair turns white, you'll still be the most handsome man in a 10-mile radius." My adoptive father would glare at her, "Stop playing these games with me." But his anger had already subsided by more than half. Life was very hard back then. The honeyed words from my adoptive mother's lips were the rare sweetness in life. My adoptive father didn't like me. I've known that for a long time. My two older brothers could go up the mountain to catch birds or down to the river to catch fish. But I had to stay home and work. He'd criticize me for not even being able to hold a broom steady. He'd complain that the rice I cooked was burnt. He'd complain that the clothes I washed weren't clean. My adoptive father always scolded me. "Besides eating, what else are you good for?" Next to the house, there was a corner plot for vegetables. Because it was shaded by a tree, nothing planted there would yield a good harvest. Every time my adoptive father would show his disdain, I thought I was that despised corner plot of land, never seeing the sun all day. No matter how much fertilizer was used, it wouldn't bear abundant fruit. Just being there was enough to annoy people. Because I knew my origins, I had always wanted to go to that river to see, but my adoptive father wouldn't let me. He threatened me with a wooden stick. "That's not a place you should go. If you dare to go, it'll break your legs," but it always weighed on my mind. One day, while my adoptive father was out drinking, I asked Sister Yunxi from the village for directions and ran towards the river. I soon discovered that the directions Sister Yunxi gave were inaccurate. By the time I wandered my way to the riverbank, it was already dusk. Unnamed birds in the treetops were crying mournfully. The river water was as black as ink. Waves rolled in, one after another, crashing against my legs. The night wind blew away the ghostly shadows, revealing a thick patch of reeds. Inside, a peony-patterned swaddling cloth was stuck there. Could there be an abandoned child inside, just like me? I used a dry branch to pull the cloth closer. I was naive and ignorant back then. I reached out and turned over the rotten cloth, wanting to see if there was a baby inside. Just then, a lion's roar echoed from behind me. "Mo-chen, are you looking for death?" I trembled in fear of my adoptive father. The cloth slipped from my fingertips. The chaotic ripples were just like my heartbeat at that moment. My adoptive father scrambled to get in front of me. He picked up a branch as thick as a bowl from the ground and whipped me. "Didn't I tell you the riverbank is no place for you? Didn't I say I'd break your legs? Don't you value your life anymore?" The dry branch couldn't withstand the force. It snapped in two with a crack. My adoptive father broke off a willow branch, intending to continue. Our neighbor, Aunt Jo, arrived with a flashlight. "Stop hitting him. Take the child home first. Don't let him get too scared." My savior had arrived. I quickly hid behind Aunt Jo. Aunt Jo stroked my head. "Don't blame your father. When he heard you went to the riverbank, he was worried sick. He even forgot to put on his shoes." Only then did I notice my adoptive father was barefoot. The tops of his feet were cut by weeds and vines, leaving many small bloody scratches. My adoptive father came forward, grabbed my ear and dragged me home. "You still dare to hide. I'm not worried about him. I'm afraid hell caused trouble for our family." Before leaving the riverbank, I turned back for one last look. The night was like a river. The peony flower on the cloth looked like a long congealed bloodstain. Blown back and forth by the wind, it burrowed back into the reeds. If my adoptive mother hadn't pulled me out from the beginning, perhaps I would have been like the child in that cloth, slowly rotting away in the reeds. On the way back, we met several groups of people looking for me. The village secretary was even carrying a large fishing net. When he saw me, he threw the fishing net over my head. He said fiercely, "Little friend, if you go to the riverbank, the water ghost will pull your legs and drown you. Then we'll have to use a fishing net to get you out. Got it?" When we got home, my adoptive father was about to hit me with a broom. My adoptive mother rushed back and quickly stopped him. "Be careful not to hurt your hand. You should sit down. I'll help you pull the splinters from your feet." She pushed my adoptive father down to sit and squatted to look at his feet. My adoptive father glared. "If you keep indulging him, hell climb up to the heavens. My feet are fine. Go to the shaman He Xiangu and get a bowl of charmed water." My adoptive mother was a materialist. "That's all superstition." My adoptive father kicked her on the butt. "Just go when I tell you to. It's better to believe it exists than not to believe at all. A few years ago, wasn't old Jang's son. All right, I'll go. Mo-chen, go help your father pull out the splinters. His back hurts, so he can't bend down." There were several splinters stuck in the sole of my adoptive father's foot. The longest one was about a centimeter. When I pulled it out, blood immediately gushed out. It was hot and sticky on my hands. Tears streamed down my face. My adoptive father scolded me. "No one in the family has died. What are you crying for?" I looked up at him. Dad, does it hurt a lot?" "I'm sorry. So now you know you're wrong?" If you go to the riverbank again, I'll kick you in for the fish to eat. I was forced to drink that strange-tasting bowl of charmed water, but I still had nightmares. I dreamed that I turned over the cloth and the face inside was my own. I screamed. My legs twitched. I heard a soft groan. It was my second brother, who was 3 years older than me. Dark clouds covered the full moon. There was only a faint light in the room. My second brother rubbed his stomach. His small eyes were filled with excitement. "You're really haunted," I said in surprise. "Why are you sleeping in my bed? I'm a living person. My yang energy is strong." He puffed out his chest proudly. "Dad told me to sleep next to you to ward off ghosts." My second brother had been brave since childhood and was very interested in these spooky things. "Did you just see a ghost? What did it look like? Was its face as long as a carrying pole? Were its teeth pitch black?" My second brother asked nonstop. It was very noisy, but the middle of the night was no longer scary. I drowsily fell asleep. No more nightmares. The next day, when Dad came home from work, I asked him, "Dad, was there actually a baby in that cloth?" "I don't know." "Dad, did you ever see any other children by the river after that?" "I never went back to that riverbank again. The villagers don't like to go there." "Why?" My adoptive father lowered his eyes. A yellow leaf drifted lightly onto his shoulder. It seemed to bend his entire spine. He heaved a long sigh. "Because life isn't easy for anyone. Besides, my abilities are limited. I can only raise one more child." Life was indeed very difficult back then. Farmers toiled day in and day out. All year round, they tended to the rice in the fields. In the early years, the rice yield wasn't high. The harvest depended on the weather. In a good year, after paying the grain tax to the state, we could feed our family and still have a little left over. In a bad year, after paying the grain tax, there was just enough to feed ourselves. But there were many things that required money. Sending children to school was a major expense. Primary school tuition was over 200 yuan a year, while rice only sold for 60 or 70 cents per caddy. Not long after the incident with Qiangbao, I reached the age for primary school. Aunt Kui Hua from the village told my father, Mo Chen, he was picked up after all. Just giving him a bite to eat is enough. Why waste money sending him to school? She was Sister Yunxi's mother. Sister Yunxi was the second daughter in the family. She was 2 years older than me and still hadn't started school. The village secretary had visited their home several times to persuade her. At that moment, I was extremely nervous, afraid that my adoptive father would be convinced. I hurriedly said, "Dad, I want to go to school. Going to school can help me earn money. I'll be filial to you in the future." My adoptive father glared at me. "Even if I don't let you go to school, you still have to be filial to me. I've worked so hard to raise you. If you dare to be unfilial, you'll be struck by lightning." I didn't dare to plead anymore. Tears welled up in my eyes from anxiety. Aunt Kui Hua sneered. "What's the point of a village kid studying so much? Knowing a few numbers and a bit of addition and subtraction is enough." She looked at my adoptive father. "Don't you agree?" My adoptive father gave a faint smile. "Not sending him to school is against the law. You know that? What's there to be afraid of? I'm not sending the one at my house either. See if the village secretary dares to do anything to me." Aunt Kui Hua thought it was right. "He's not your biological child anyway. No need to spend so much money and effort." My adoptive father rolled his eyes. "Just because someone else dares to kill doesn't mean I dare to. You dare to break the law, but I don't. It's better to just honestly send him to school. If he learns a few more words, he might have a future." Aunt Kui Hua couldn't find a like-minded person. With a long face, she muttered and left. I, on the other hand, was very happy. I ran over and rubbed against my adoptive father. "Thank you, Dad." My adoptive father disgustedly grabbed my hair. "Get away. Don't wipe your snot on my shirt. Let your mother check if you still have lice." The evening sun was brilliant. The wind rustled the bamboo leaves. The weather was hot. The birds were silent. My adoptive mother took out a fine-toothed wooden comb and, stroke by stroke, helped me comb out a lot of lice from my head. She'd press them with her fingernail, making a crisp popping sound. My adoptive father, standing nearby, clicked his tongue in amazement. "Is your hair growing on lice?" It was very strange. Even though I washed my hair often back then, the lice just wouldn't go away. I successfully enrolled in primary school, carrying a military green canvas school bag that my second brother no longer used. Back then, primary school had big weeks and small weeks. During small weeks, we had a half day of school on Saturday. That day, during the last class on a Saturday, the teacher took out a list. After reading the names of 7 or 8 students, his tone became serious. "Your tuition fees still haven't been paid. Go home and tell your parents that you must bring the money next week." Those students all blushed crimson. They were extremely embarrassed. It turned out that every class had students with overdue tuition fees. Some had even been in arrears for several years. They would be scolded by the teacher every so often. After I got home, I asked my adoptive mother, "Mom, is my tuition very expensive? Many people in my class haven't paid." My adoptive mother threw me a handful of long beans to trim. Her voice was unhappy. "That's right. The money for fertilizer and pesticides for the next half a year was all used to pay your tuition." Just then, my adoptive father came back from the fields. My adoptive father said sarcastically, "Your mother said if we were late on tuition, your name would be called out. Since you're a child and your pride would be hurt, she prioritized you. So when I go to the cooperative to buy fertilizer on credit, I guess I don't need any face, right?" The more he spoke, the angrier he got. My adoptive mother trembled with fear. She trotted over to touch my adoptive father's face. "Let me see your face. Where is it hurt?" "It's not. It's still just as chiseled. In the whole village, no, in this entire township, your face is the most handsome. With that, my adoptive mother pulled my adoptive father into the main house. Don't do this again in the future. Let me be the one to lose face. My face isn't worth anything. My adoptive father angrily shook her hand off. You're in your 30s. Can't you be a little more serious when you talk? My adoptive mother laughed carefree. Your face got hurt today. I'll show you my skills at dinner tonight. My adoptive mother took out a handful of freshly picked peanuts, still covered in dirt, and stuffed them into his hands. Sit here and eat these peanuts. Get some rest. She then called me to the kitchen to help start the fire. She gave me a handful of peanuts too. Roast them over the fire. They're better cooked. Less than 2 days later, my adoptive father took a job in the next town to help build a house. He had never taken a job so far away before. My adoptive mother said sourly, "Sigh. I used to tell your father to take on more work, but he always complained it was too tiring. I've been married to him for over 10 years and gave him 2 children, but it seems I'm still not as important as you." I was happy that my adoptive mother cared for me, but my adoptive father's words made me a little scared. Back then, masons weren't paid well. Working from morning till night would only earn you 20 yuan. Moreover, the payment wasn't always on time. The homeowner only provided 1 lunch meal. Before dawn, my adoptive father would ride his bike to work. After dark, he would come home under the stars and moon. He was very tired. I didn't want to trouble him further, so I didn't tell him that someone in my class was bullying me. I was a foundling. Everyone in the village knew. Wang Qiang from the same village told the whole class, so the whole class knew. Young boys especially like to bully the weak. It seems that by doing so, they can show their strength and courage. Wang Qiang led a few boys to spit in my pencil case, pour mud into my school bag, and tear up my notebooks and paper airplanes. On the way home from school, they would follow me and call me a bastard. I was furious. I said I would go home and tell my parents. He grinned mockingly. Your dad is never home. Your dad doesn't like you at all. Your real parents threw you away. Your dad even wanted to give you away back then. A group of boys burst into laughter while my limbs went cold. A child's malice is both direct and deadly. They easily hit my deepest fear. When I was 3, my adoptive father had indeed wanted to give me away. They thought I wouldn't remember. In fact, I remembered it very clearly. That colorfully dressed old woman pulled me over, looked me over from left to right, finally shook her head. Too skinny. I'm afraid he won't be easy to raise. My adoptive father said many good things about me, but the old woman still wouldn't take me. I still remember it was drizzling that day. My adoptive father stood under the eaves. His brows were tightly furrowed. He said regretfully, "You weren't fated for a life of wealth." I didn't fight back, so they became even more aggressive. One day after school, it was my turn for cleaning duty. After I finished cleaning, there were hardly any people left in the school. I put on my school bag, ready to leave. Wang Qiang and a group of boys ran out from behind the hill. They carried me and rushed towards the boys' bathroom. Back then, they were all connected dry latrines. There were cement partitions between the stalls, no doors. I squeezed my eyes shut, crying and begging them to put me down. Their laughter only grew more unrestrained. Wang Qiang even let go on purpose. I fell to the ground. One of my legs landed in the latrine pit. The boys surrounded me, roaring with laughter. They said I now stank like shit and was just as disgusting. I pushed them away and ran away crying. It was late October. I washed myself over and over in the icy cold stream water, but I still couldn't wash off the stench. Perhaps this stench came from my bloodline. That's why my biological parents abandoned me. That's why my adoptive father disliked me. That's why everyone was so malicious towards me. My hands and feet were soaked until they turned pale. My whole body was shivering. I was about to pass out in the small stream, but just then, I heard my adoptive father's call. He stood by the riverbank with a flashlight. He grabbed my hair and pulled me up. While taking off his jacket to cover me, he scolded me. "Don't you want to live anymore? I worked so hard to raise you this big just so you could try to kill yourself like this?" I pushed his jacket away. Tears streamed down my face. "Dad, I'm covered in shit. They all say I stink. They say no one likes me." My adoptive father held me tight. His voice trembled. "Which bastard said that? He'll definitely sew his mouth shut." He took me home, changed my clothes, and gave me hot water and hot porridge. Then, he took a chamber pot and a cleaver and led me and my 2 older brothers to Wang Qiang's house. Kids are just being mischievous. It wasn't intentional. Besides, it's true that Mo Chen was picked up. My adoptive father furrowed his brows. So what if he was picked up? I've raised him for so many years. He's registered under the Mo family name. He is my son. He is the younger brother of my 2 sons. Your son bullying him is like climbing on our heads to take a dump. My adoptive father slammed the cleaver down on their table. Are you bullying my family because you think we have no one, right? My 2 brothers also took a step forward, protecting me from behind. My adoptive father was full of imposing momentum. All the neighbors came to watch the commotion. The Wang family was clearly in the wrong. Uncle Wang gave a forced smile. "It's just a childish matter. Why take it so seriously? If you insist on making a big deal out of it, then I'll have my Wang Qiang apologize to Mu Chen." Wang Qiang was dragged out of his room. He ducked his head, lowered his eyes, and even wet his pants. Gone was the arrogant look he had when he usually bullied me. My adoptive father sneered. "Can his apology be eaten, or can it be spent as money? I don't care for it." He pushed the chamber pot in his hand into mine. He dirtied you. You pour this on him too. On him, then we'll call it even. Uncle Wang got anxious. Don't push people too far. He's just a child. Isn't apologizing to you enough? My adoptive father said sarcastically. According to you, my eldest and second sons are also children. If they splash feces and urine on you now, would a simple apology be enough? As soon as he finished speaking, my eldest brother took the chamber pot. Uncle Wang kept backing away, pushing Wang Qiang forward. That's how it is in the countryside. To deal with unreasonable troublemakers, you have to give them a taste of their own medicine. If you try to reason with them, you'll just end up suffering. My eldest brother handed me the chamber pot. Mu Chen, go give it back to him. Otherwise, they'll just keep bullying you in the future. I took the chamber pot and with a whoosh, poured all the feces and urine inside onto Wang Qiang. He was both angry and ashamed, wailing loudly. On the way back, my second brother grumbled, Mu Chen, you're still too soft-hearted. You should have poured it over that kid's head and given him a mouthful of crap. Let's see if he dares to bully you again after that. As soon as he finished speaking, my adoptive father slapped him on the back of the head. You still have the nerve to say that? Mu Chen was bullied like this, and you, as his older brother, were blind? After saying that, my adoptive father glared at my eldest brother. And you too. You're already in the 6th grade, but you can't even protect your younger brother. The food you eat just turns into crap. It doesn't make you stronger or smarter, does it? My second brother mumbled. Dad, you're the one who scolds Mu Chen the most. My adoptive father flew into a rage. I raised him. I can hit him if I want to and scold him if I want to. What right do outsiders have? If a family isn't united, they'll only get bullied and beaten by others. My adoptive father walked in front, scolding relentlessly. My 2 brothers flanked me, protecting me on my left and right. The moonlight was so beautiful. The stars were sparse. Birds were still chirping in the treetops. Perhaps they were calling for the playful children to hurry home. When we got home, my adoptive mother rushed to the door to greet us. Seeing that we were all in one piece, she breathed a sigh of relief. She gave a thumbs up. My husband is still the best. The old Wang family didn't even dare to fart, did they? My adoptive mother beamed like a flower. Despite my adoptive father's protests, she took his arm and coaxed him as they went inside. Soon after, a strange sound came from inside the house. My second brother and I were a bit anxious. Mom and Dad aren't fighting, are they? Should we go check? My eldest brother pulled me back with one hand on each of us. What's there to see? Have you finished your homework? My second brother's composition assignment was an essay. My father. He scratched his head and asked our eldest brother, besides scolding us every day, what else is there to write about Dad? Maybe I should just write down all of Dad's insults. This notebook probably wouldn't be enough. The news of Wang Qiang being doused in feces spread throughout the class. He lost his old swagger. Plus, my eldest and second brothers often waited for me after school. The fact that I was adopted was no longer mentioned by anyone. One day after school, I was walking with Sister Yunxi. Because Aunt Kui Hua was locked in a dark room for 3 days by the village party secretary, she finally had to compromise and let Sister Yunxi go to school. But he made Sister Yunxi start directly in the 2nd grade. That way, they could save a year's worth of tuition. Sister Yunxi plucked the bristles from a foxtail grass one by one. Mu Chen, I really admire you. What do you admire about me? Her eyes reddened. If only I could switch places with you. Even though my mother gave birth to me, she doesn't love me at all. Even though you're not their biological son, look at how your parents protect you. That's right. They weren't my biological relatives, but in reality, they always protected me. My adoptive father finished his work and received half his wages. He even bought the 3 of us in town, the dog-tooth pendants that were very popular at the time. My adoptive mother was unbearably jealous. I've been married to you for over 10 years, so why haven't I seen you buy me a single floral hair tie? My adoptive father performed a magic trick. He pulled a crystal hairpin from his pocket. Of course my wife gets her share. Mu Chen's kind costs 1 yuan for a pair, but this one is a full 4 yuan. My adoptive mother's eyes widened. Mu Qinghe, do you have too much money to spend? She gave my adoptive father a good scolding, but the next day she fried me a sunny-side-up egg and wore the crystal hairpin herself to the stone slab by the river to do laundry. Many grandmas and aunties praised my mother's beauty. My adoptive mother was both modest and boastful. My Qinghe has no sense of proportion. I told him I'm too old to need these things, but he insisted on buying it. It cost 10 yuan. Everyone tell me, isn't he silly? The grandmas and aunties were all astonished, full of admiration. But I was very calm. Country folk like to brag, like to exaggerate. A 5 yuan item could be said to cost 50 yuan. My adoptive mother's rate of exaggeration was still quite restrained. Not long after the start of autumn, it was time for the rice harvest. My adoptive father had never let me go into the fields before. He complained that I was as thin as a toothpick. What work can you do? Don't get stuck in the mud and unable to get out. I'd have to keep an extra eye on you. But this time, I insisted on helping. I held a sickle and followed my adoptive father along the edge of the field. The villagers joked, "Oh my, our little prince is about to work in the fields." My adoptive father glanced at me. At least he has some conscience, volunteering to come and help. The ideal was beautiful, but reality was harsh. I had only harvested a few rows of rice when a water snake shot out of the field. It slithered past my leg and was gone. I was scared out of my wits. I carelessly cut my hand. It was a very deep cut. Blood dripped down. My adoptive father threw down his sickle and rushed over, carrying a clean strip of cloth from his shirt to bandage my hand. I told you not to come. I told you. Look what you've done now. My face was pale, and my voice trembled. Snake. Dad, there's a snake in the field. I was bitten by a snake when I was little. From then on, all similar soft, slippery animals, I was terrified of them. Snakes, eels, loaches, worms, and so on. My adoptive father forcefully tied the knot. That snake wasn't poisonous. What's there to be afraid of? He waved his hand in annoyance. Fine, fine, you go home, cook rice, and dry the grain. My legs were still a bit wobbly. My adoptive father walked me back. The villagers teased, "Why are you back so soon?" My adoptive father had a sullen look on his face. He was scared witless by a water snake. Forget it. This adopted kid really is a prince. He wasn't born to be a farmer. He walked me all the way to the main road. All right? There won't be any more snakes on this road. Go back on your own. I walked back guiltily, hearing him call out from behind. Don't let your bleeding finger touch water. From then on, I never went into the paddy fields again. I was one of the few children in our village who had never harvested rice. It was like this until the summer vacation of 4th grade. Teacher Ching from the village came to visit. He told my adoptive mother, I've taught Mu Chen for 3 years. He always gets 100 in math, and his literature scores are always 97, 98. His memory is excellent. He's a born academic talent. He must be well nurtured. My adoptive mother replied repeatedly, as long as he can study, of course we will fully support him. Teacher Ching then looked towards my adoptive father. My adoptive father glanced at me. What are you looking at me for? If he wants to study, ask your mother. What right do I have to object? But things didn't go smoothly for my eldest brother. He failed the high school entrance exam and only got into number 2 high school. The college admission rate at number 2 high school was very low, but the tuition was much more expensive than at number 1 high school. My eldest brother wanted to go out and work. At that time, some people in the village were already working in coastal areas. They could earn 800 or 900 a month. My eldest brother wanted to go out and work. Xiaofeng and Mu Chen are both smarter than me. They'll go earn money for their education. My adoptive father angrily hit his back with a broom. My adoptive mother also flew into a rare rage. Your younger brother's tuition. Your father and I will figure it out. If you don't go to school, you'll be working for the rest of your life. Do you know that? You don't have to be like us, toiling to earn money under the scorching sun your whole life. Go to school. As long as you can endure hardship, you can still get into a good university from number 2 high school. My eldest brother couldn't argue. In the end, he still went to number 2 high school. My adoptive father sold the chickens we raised and all the surplus rice in the granary. My adoptive mother went back to her parents' home to borrow some more money. Only then did they gather enough tuition for the 3 of us. It might not sound very ambitious to hear this now, but having 1 high schooler, 1 middle schooler, and 1 elementary schooler attending school at the same time was, for a farming family, truly an immense burden. Aunt Kuihua once again mocked my adoptive father. Mu Chen is an adopted child, not your biological son. You should stop sending him to school. Or just owe the tuition for now. So many people owe money, and the school hasn't kicked anyone out. My adoptive father sneered. If others kill someone, should I go kill someone too? If others eat crap, should I go eat crap too? Owing tuition means getting your name called out every so often. You have children too. Don't you know that children need their dignity even more? Aunt Kuihua was rebuked. Together with Uncle Wang, she went around the village bad-mouthing my adoptive father. That old King He doesn't know what's good for him. He treats that adopted child like a treasure. I'd like to see what he gets in the end for all his wasted money and effort. His brain is waterlogged. He doesn't wholeheartedly support his 2 biological sons. Who knows how they'll resent him in the future? Except for planting seedlings and harvesting rice, my adoptive father worked outside the rest of the time. Every New Year, he was especially busy. On New Year's Eve, he was still out collecting wages. Sometimes he succeeded, and sometimes, even after 4 or 5 years, even if it was just a few hundred yuan, the homeowners would keep delaying. Every time he failed to collect the money, my adoptive father would fly into a rage. These people have money to build houses and marry off their sons, yet they owe our family a few hundred yuan. My adoptive mother would sigh. What can we do? We'll talk about it next year. A rural rule is that you don't collect debts in the first lunar month. So, any money not collected on New Year's Eve could only be collected on the next New Year's Eve. My adoptive father was busy outside every day, so all household matters, big and small, were left to my adoptive mother. There was a lot of farm work back then. In spring, there was tea picking, tea processing, planting peanuts, planting sweet potatoes, planting corn, planting sesame, planting green beans, and soybeans. After planting the vegetables, there was weeding, spraying pesticides, and fertilizing. We also had to turn the sweet potato vines and pollinate the corn and vegetables. We had to water and fertilize the vegetables. The 3 of us spent most of our time at school, so all this work fell to my adoptive mother. Time flew by. My eldest brother always worked very hard. Perhaps due to limited talent, he ultimately only got into a 3rd-tier university. The tuition was expensive. Besides the student loan, we still had to pay over 10,000 yuan each year. As for my second brother, he lived up to our adoptive mother's expectations and got into number 1 high school. He was about to enter the 12th grade. The school held summer classes. I was also in the 8th grade. The 3 of us were like bamboo shoots after a spring rain, growing up quickly, and my adoptive father was like the earth beneath our feet. We naturally absorbed nutrients from him. It was during summer vacation, but my adoptive father didn't let me work in the fields. Didn't your second brother already say? Kids in the city all go to cram school during summer break. With that brain of yours, if you don't work a little harder, how will you get into no? 1 high school? That day, it was already dusk, but my adoptive father still wanted to go out. I looked at his back and asked, "It's so late, what are you going out for? To do some work in the cornfield?" He shouldered his hoe, put on his straw hat, and smiled at me. "I know you're a glutton, and you like to eat young corn. I saw a few rows were ripe a few days ago. I'll pick some for you on my way back. It'll be just right for breakfast tomorrow." I was cooking dinner and doing my homework. The rice and soup were ready, but he still hadn't returned. I shouted towards the back a few times. There was no answer. My heart felt a little uneasy. I took a flashlight and went out to look for him. I saw the corn stalks ahead had fallen. Taking 2 steps forward, I saw my adoptive father collapsed on the ground. His wrist dangled beside an upright corn stalk. He was still holding a freshly picked ear of corn in his hand. In the flashlight's beam, he looked so thin and small. In that instant, my scalp went numb. My body wouldn't stop shaking. It took several tries before I could manage to cry for help. "Help, help, please, someone. Come save my father." His gruff on the outside but soft on the inside. He's diligent and hardworking. He dotes on his wife. He loves his children. He is so good. He is the sun hanging over my heart. He is the bright moon in my dark night. I beg you, Guanyin Bodhisattva, Tathagata Buddha, Holy Mother Mary, Lord Jesus, please don't let anything happen to him. Don't take him away. The town clinic had already closed. Uncle G drove his tractor to take my adoptive father to the county hospital. My adoptive mother also rushed to the hospital after getting the call. I was panicked and terrified. After seeing her, I burst into tears. My adoptive mother patted my shoulder and smiled. "It's okay, it's okay. Your father has always been very healthy. He'll be fine." But her hand was shaking. She was also very scared. Fortunately, the test results came back quickly. Thalassemia. Luckily, the condition hadn't progressed too seriously. It's just that he absolutely couldn't do heavy labor anymore. He had to rest a lot and have regular checkups to prevent the condition from worsening. As soon as my adoptive father woke up, he demanded to be discharged. "I'm healthier than the party secretary's buffalo. What's the point of being in the hospital? Doesn't it cost money? Go to the hospital and they'll find something wrong even if there isn't." My adoptive mother held him back and comforted him. "They'll figure out the money. Your health is more important." It was 2004. Rural health insurance was not yet common. Even going to the hospital for a minor illness meant, for a farming family, being skinned alive. My adoptive father pulled at the IV needle in his hand, but my adoptive mother held it tight. He struggled with all his might. After struggling for a while, tears welled up in his eyes. "I'm fine. I'm really fine. The children's tuition and living expenses, fertilizer, seeds, social expenses, everything costs money. Even with you working day and night, it's not enough. Where else can we get money?" My second brother also rushed over from school. He was 1.8 meters tall. He hung his head, his shoulders trembling nonstop. He said softly, "Dad, the doctor said you have to rest a lot from now on. I didn't do well on my exams this time. I don't want to go to school anymore. I want to work." "Don't worry, Dad. I'll work to earn money for your treatment." My adoptive father slapped him across the face. He roared, "Try saying that nonsense one more time. If you dare to drop out and work, I'll pretend I never had you as a son." Then, he turned and stared at me fiercely. "You too. Get those crooked ideas out of your head. Father can't get agitated." After speaking, his face darkened and he panted. My adoptive mother quickly helped him lie down. "I've told you so many times, stop getting angry. Anger harms the body. This illness of yours might have been caused by getting angry too often." After saying that, my adoptive mother looked at us seriously. "Money matters are not for you children to worry about. You just focus on your studies. Don't make your father worry anymore." It was already night. We couldn't go back to the village. My second brother and I were in the hospital corridor. We slept on a bench for one night. I thought I wouldn't be able to sleep, maybe because my emotions had been on a roller coaster all night. I drowsily fell asleep. In a half-conscious state, I could hear my adoptive mother on the phone pleading in a low voice. When I opened my eyes again, it was early morning. The bright sunlight made it almost impossible for me to open my eyes. Once I got used to the light, I saw the woman in front of me wearing a dress, high heels, and carrying a leather bag. She smiled at me. "Mu-chen, are you awake?" It was her. A month ago, she stopped me after school and said she had a son who was seriously ill. A fortune teller told her she needed to collect 1,000 strands of hair from strangers to help her son overcome his misfortune. She was willing to pay 10 yuan for a strand of my hair. As a boy, my hair wasn't very long, but I still plucked out 7 or 8 strands for her. But I didn't take the 10 yuan. Because she was dressed elegantly and wore makeup, completely different from the women in the countryside, so she left a very deep impression on me. The woman was smiling, her eyes were moist. She came over to hold my hand. "Mu-chen, I'm your biological mother." I shook her hand off, finding it completely absurd. But then she showed me a DNA test report. It turned out that the story about plucking hair to cure an illness was a lie. She took my hair to test if I was her son. She and my biological father stood before my adoptive mother with tears in their eyes. Back then, my mother-in-law took the child and said he was stolen. We've been looking for Mu-chen all these years. His father and I work in the provincial capital. Both of us are civil servants. We have a house and a car. I've already asked around. Mu-chen's grades have always been very good. If he comes back with us to the provincial capital, he can attend a key middle school, a key high school, and get into a key university. We have wronged him. His father and I will do our best to make it up to him from now on. My second brother was furious. pulling me behind him protectively. So what if you gave birth to him? For over 10 years, my parents are the ones who raised him. When he wanted to eat wild fruits, my eldest brother got all scraped up picking them for him. When he couldn't sleep, I was the one who told him ghost stories to lull him to sleep. He's my younger brother. Don't even think about taking him away. My adoptive father gave me a deep look. His gaze was like that of a male lion watching a young cub about to leave the pride to forge his own path. I shook my head repeatedly, tears streaming down my face. I don't know them. Dad, I only have one father. You're the only dad I have. Dad, you are my only father. Please don't let me go. My adoptive father turned his head away, his shoulders shaking uncontrollably. My biological father spoke unhurriedly. It's truly been hard on you and your wife all these years. I know you're facing difficulties right now. He opened his briefcase and took out 3 stacks of money from inside. This 30,000 yuan is a small token of our sincerity. My biological mother held my hand. I just want to take you home so you can wear clothes that fit, eat the food I cook, get into a key high school, and attend a good university. Mu Chen, I know you can't bear to leave your adoptive parents, but their health right now requires rest. If you continue to stay with them, you'll just be adding to their burden. Moreover, they also need money. His words startled me. The scene from last night in my half-conscious state suddenly became incredibly clear. I heard my adoptive mother, holding an old Nokia, pleading, "Brother Zhang, my husband is sick. He's in the hospital now and needs money. I know it's not easy for you either, but a person's life is at stake. The money you owe me, can you scrape it together and pay me back? I'm begging you. Uncle Liu, you've owed that money for 6 years. My husband is sick and in the hospital, and my 3 children need to go to school. I'm begging you, can you pay me back?" I looked at my adoptive mother and realized that her cheekbones had long since lost the delicate look I remembered. I realized that my adoptive father's black hair had unknowingly turned more than half gray. When on earth did it start that I hadn't even noticed? I had grown from an innocent child into a clueless teenager. It turned out the price for that was their aging. My tears fell uncontrollably. My adoptive father also covered his eyes with his sleeve. Large teardrops rolled down his cheeks, falling onto the pristine white blanket, soaking a patch of it. After a long time, he spoke with a choked voice. "Mu Chen, you've grown up. Whether to go with them for a better life or to stay and suffer with us, you decide for yourself." I clenched my fists at my sides, my uncut fingernails digging hard into my flesh. My lips trembled repeatedly, but finally, I uttered those words. "I'll go with them." My second brother's face turned pale. He looked at me in disbelief. "Mu Chen, you decided that easily? Mom and Dad raised you for over 10 years. How can you be so ungrateful?" Before he could finish the word traitor, my adoptive father cut him off sternly. "Shut up. If he wants to go, just let him go. I just raised him like a dog or a cat. It didn't take much effort anyway." My adoptive mother, with red-rimmed eyes, pulled my second brother back, telling him to be quiet. My heart felt like it had been ripped open, tears and blood pouring out together, unstoppable. My biological parents said their schedule was very busy. They didn't even have time for me to go home and pack my things. As we were parting, I knelt down and kowtowed deeply. One kowtow to thank you for pulling me from the river, a second to thank you for raising me for so many years, a third for the shame of being unable to repay you, a fourth to wish for my parents' long lives, a fifth in the hope that we will meet again. My adoptive father turned his back. His voice was fierce, but it trembled. Go now, and live your good life." My adoptive mother stepped forward to help me up, stroking my head. "Good boy, you're a big boy now. Look, you're even taller than me now. Go on now." Murky tears rolled past the wrinkles at the corners of her eyes. "Your father and I both know what's in your heart. Dad, Mom, Mu Chen has let you down. Don't apologize, it's Mom who is useless." I hugged my mother tightly, my tears soaking her collar. "You are the best parents in the world. You've always worked so hard for me. This time, please let me do something for you. Mom, Dad, forgive me for still being so small and weak. This is all I can do. Take that money, Dad. You must get well and live a long, long life." On the way to Shen City, I sat in my biological father's Volkswagen Touran. When I got in the car, my biological mother took out a thin blanket and placed it on the back seat, telling me to sit on it. "Honey, the car is new. Don't get it dirty." But they didn't know. After I started middle school, my adoptive father always washed my clothes. Though they were old, they were very clean. The road was not smooth. The car shook violently. I was exhausted and drifted off to sleep. I dreamt of being bitten by a snake as a child. My adoptive father carried me on his back, running like mad to the healer's house. His shoes fell off on the way, but he didn't even pick them up. I dreamt of a time we went to the market fair. I wanted a really cool toy car. It cost 10 yuan. My adoptive father hesitated for a long time, scolding me while buying it for me. On the way back, he was still wearing his own shoes, which had been patched up with plastic shells time and time again and were about to fall apart. That 10 yuan he had originally planned to use to buy himself a sturdy pair of slippers. I dreamt of how much trouble I was as a child. My adoptive mother would carry me in a shoulder pole basket when she worked in the fields. She would farm and I would sit in the shade of a tree. When a peddler passed by, she would spend a dime to buy me an ice pop. I'd offer it to her, but she would always shake her head and say it was a kid's treat and that she didn't like it. I also dreamt of when I was over 3 years old, a well-dressed old woman wanted to take me away. She didn't like me. My adoptive father carried me and ran after her. This kid is very well behaved and sensible. He's just a bit physically weak. With us, he has nothing good to eat. If you raise him, it will definitely be better. As he spoke, his voice choked with emotion. He's such a lovely, well-behaved child, yet he ended up in a hovel like ours, not eating well, not dressing warmly. It's truly unfair to him. This shouldn't be his fate. Damn it, Dad lied to me. So this was the true heart of my adoptive parents. It was because they loved me that they wanted to let me go, wanting me to reach for a higher, wider sky. My biological mother sat in the passenger seat, taking a piece of paper from her bag and chuckling. They even wrote us an IU. I recognized the handwriting as my adoptive mother's. She wasn't highly educated, her writing wasn't pretty, but her signature, stroke by stroke, was very clear. Because when I was little, the teacher required tests, and all homework had to be signed by a parent. She had practiced hard for a while. I have to write it neatly and nicely. I can't let our Mu-chen be looked down upon by his teacher, as if they could ever pay it back. My biological father thought otherwise. It's an IU, just accept it. You never know when it might be useful. That 30,000 yuan, did they actually intend to demand it back from my adoptive mother? In my adoptive mother's current situation, could she possibly pay back this 30,000? I shot up from the back seat, snatched that IOU, and tore it to shreds in a few moves. This money is compensation for my parents. You are not to ask for it back. My biological mother's face immediately darkened. Is this how that old country couple taught you? Is this how you behave towards your elders? Old country couple? I felt a stab in my heart. They are my parents. We are your biological parents. But you abandoned me. If it weren't for my mom, what you would have found now would be blackened bones and rotten diapers. In your eyes, are the 14 years they lovingly raised me not even worth 30,000 yuan? My biological mother's face flushed red, and it seemed she wanted to scold me more. But my biological father pulled her hand back. No one said another word for the rest of the journey. The scenery outside the window flew by. I saw a prosperity I had never seen before. But in my heart, there was only desolation. My biological parents didn't seem at all like the loving people they pretended to be at the hospital. So why did they look for me? I soon got my answer. It turned out I had a 10-year-old younger brother. He was intellectually disabled, with the intelligence of a 3-year-old. Moreover, he was emotionally unstable. When he had a tantrum, he would scream indiscriminately and attack people. At the dinner table, my biological mother spoke gently to my younger brother. Xiaobao, this is your older brother. Go on, call him brother. In the future, when mom and dad are gone, your big brother can be with you for the rest of your life. After saying that, she looked at me. You two are blood relatives. As long as you treat your younger brother well, you will definitely get a share of this family's assets in the future. I had thought they had at least a little love for me, that they missed me at least a little. On the way here, I even thought that I would try to accept this new family, try to forgive them for abandoning me. Because my adoptive father once said, son, you have to look forward. If life doesn't kill you, it means it has left you a way to survive. We have to live happily every day. But it turned out, I looked at them and sneered. So, you brought me back to be a tool to take care of my younger brother? My biological mother's face fell a mile. What kind of tone is that? I am your mother, and you have that kind of attitude? This is rebellion. She grabbed a nearby feather duster and swung it at me. A deep red welt immediately appeared on the back of my hand. My younger brother drooled and clapped beside me. I suddenly remembered, from childhood to now, my adoptive father always said he disliked me and was fed up with me, but he never once laid a cruel hand on me. Again, it was my biological father who stepped in to mediate. Mu-chen, we looked for you. Of course it's because we love you, couldn't forget you. As for taking care of your brother, that's just an incidental matter. Your mother is just overly worried. I was arranged to sleep on a small folding bed in the study. The house actually has 3 bedrooms. My parents were in the master bedroom, my younger brother in the second bedroom, and the other one, a guest room, had been turned into a playroom for my brother. My biological mother said she would find time to clean up the guest room and let me move in there, but she never found the time. Because they both worked for the government, they were worried about gossip, so they told me to call them aunt and uncle, saying I was a distant nephew staying over. I couldn't have asked for anything better. For several days in a row, the tension between my biological mother and me was as tight as a bowstring. Perhaps to ease the relationship, my biological father gave me 50 yuan for pocket money. Buy something you want. At a souvenir shop outside the apartment complex, I saw a dazzling array of hair clips. My adoptive mother had always used a claw clip, one that my adoptive father had bought in town for 4 yuan years ago. It was faded, the spring was rusty, and 2 of its teeth were broken. But my adoptive mother just kept using it. I chose a 10 yuan hair clip and also bought a phone card to use a public phone to call my adoptive father. My biological parents both had mobile phones, but they watched me very strictly, not allowing me to contact my adoptive father. as if doing so could pluck them from my heart. But homesickness is a strange thing. The more you suppress it, the more it churns inside you. The more you smother it, the more fiercely it grows. When my adoptive father's voice came through the phone, my eyes immediately turned red. He asked me urgently if I was living well, how my biological parents were treating me, if I was eating enough, if I was dressing warmly, if I used an umbrella when it rained, and if I put on extra clothes on cold nights. Dad, I'm doing very well. What about you? Have you recovered? I've been discharged from the hospital. I'm fine, don't you worry. I had so much I wanted to say, but at that moment, I didn't know where to start. After a brief moment of silence, my adoptive father spoke. All right, phone calls are expensive. You take good care of yourself. Hang up first. I sat for a long time under the magnolia tree in the complex, only calming down before heading home. As soon as I entered, my biological mother held out her hand to me. Where's the money your uncle gave you? Give it here. I'll keep it for you. When she found out I had spent 30 yuan, my biological mother flew into a rage. She threw the hair clip hard on the ground, the decorative stones on it scattering all over the floor. Then she found a pair of scissors, and snip, snip, cut the phone card to pieces. She roared at me. I gave birth to you. Am I not treating you well? I bought you new clothes from head to toe. I make sure you eat and dress well. I pulled strings everywhere for your school transfer, and you're still pining for that man and woman? She grabbed the feather duster and whipped it at me. I was caught off guard and got hit once. On the second strike, I grabbed it tightly. I looked at her coldly. She was beside herself with anger. You dare to glare at me, you ungrateful wretch! My biological father, the old field mouse, came out of the playroom and quickly put his arms around her shoulders. Don't get agitated. Don't shout. Scare Xiaobao. He looked at me, his tone mild. Muchen, you're not an adult yet? You can't be so wasteful with money. If you want to buy something, you can tell us. I want to buy a notebook with a lock. Oh, what secrets do you have that you can't let others know that you need to lock them up? I couldn't be bothered with her. I picked up the hair clip and the fallen stones from the ground. Before going into the study, I calmly looked at my biological father. My uncle. It seems your wife has some emotional problems. Could my brother's illness be inherited from her? My tone was very sincere. I think you should take her to a mental hospital to get checked out. After saying that, I slammed the door shut, blocking out my biological mother's furious cursing, even though they didn't like me. My biological parents still transferred me to a key middle school nearby, the night I returned after completing the procedures. My biological mother said at the dinner table, to transfer you to a new school, we spent a lot of money. We asked a lot of people for help. You'd better not disappoint us. You must get into a key high school. At the very least, you have to get into a 985 university. My biological father added, your mother and I still love you very much. Liars. I clearly got up to use the bathroom in the middle of the night yesterday. And I heard my father advising my biological mother, in the future, we'll need him to take care of Xiaobao. Even if you have to pretend to treat him a little better. Everything is for Xiaobao. Educated people can be terrifying sometimes. They are polite and elegant. They understand human nature. They know how to manipulate. They are good at hiding their true intentions. My biological parents strictly controlled my life. I had to eat breakfast and dinner at home. Lunch money was loaded onto a meal card. Every day, I had to report to them what I ate and how much it cost, so they could check their accounts at the end of the month. For any fees that needed to be paid at school, they would also ask classmates from the same neighborhood to see if the amounts matched. From something as small as pencil lead to something as large as a winter coat and pants, my biological mother handled everything herself. She would always hypocritically ask me what style I liked. Once I made a choice, she would immediately find all sorts of reasons to reject it. This one is expensive. The price-to-performance ratio isn't good. This one is too cheap. The quality must be bad. This color shows dirt easily. This color is too dark. Eventually, I just started saying whatever you want. Then she would be disappointed. Why don't you have any of your own opinions? It was suffocating, and it made me miss my adoptive father terribly. I remember when I was in 6th grade, a type of multicolored ballpoint pen was popular. One pen had 4 different colored ink cartridges. You just had to press down the color you wanted to use. It cost 3 yuan. I wanted one too. I brazenly asked my adoptive father for it. My adoptive father scolded me. A pen is 5 jiao. Isn't buying 4 colored pens the same thing? Is the money burning a hole in your pocket? While he was scolding me, he pulled out from his pocket a wad of small change. He pulled out 3 yuan and gave it to me. I must have owed you in a past life. I used that ballpoint pen very sparingly. I wonder if it's still around. My biological parents didn't give me any spare change. They were afraid I would contact my adoptive mother. But I had my ways. My desk mate was a rich underachiever. During morning self-study, he would often borrow homework to copy just to get by the teacher. That Monday, I pushed my math homework over to him. I whispered, "From now on, you can just copy mine." He stared at me for a few seconds. "Okay, I'll treat you to a pulp orange juice after school." "I don't want it." I lowered my voice. "I want to borrow your phone to make a call." Back then, mobile phones weren't common, and schools didn't allow students to bring them, but I had seen him secretly using one during lunch break, playing Snake on a color screen Nokia. Anyway, from then on, every Friday I used his phone to contact my adoptive father. One time, we hid on the deserted 6th floor. He stood guard for me at the top of the stairs while I called my adoptive father. I told them that I was studying very hard, that I was fitting in with the new group, that I ranked 8th in the whole grade on the midterm exam. They also said everything was fine. One day in late November, as I was about to hang up, my adoptive father called out to me, "Mo Chen, today is your birthday. Do you remember? 15 years ago, your mother found you on this very day. You were crying your throat hoarse back then. Your little face was purple from the cold." My mother said, her voice choked with emotion, "Your biological parents probably celebrated your birthday yesterday or the day before, right?" No, they didn't. When I returned the phone to my desk mate, he glanced at me, then quickly went downstairs. When I got to the school gate, he ran up and shoved a Dove chocolate bar into my hand. I didn't mean to eavesdrop. "You had it on speaker, and you didn't realize it. Happy birthday, Mo Chen." The Dove chocolate was so sweet. Someday I have to buy some for my adoptive parents to eat. I want to buy them chocolate. I want to take them to a buffet, to ride the big city bus, to climb Uelu Mountain, to see Orange Isle. So I have to work twice as hard. My younger brother often harassed me. While I was doing homework, he would pound on my door with all his might. He would tear up the test I had just finished. Or he would suddenly rush at me from behind without warning and crash into me. It made me break out in a cold sweat. My biological parents always said he didn't know any better. He's the younger brother. You should give in to him. Go play with him. I just looked at them coldly. Or how about I just stop going to school? I'll stay home and play with him every day. Then we can spend together. The retirement money you've prepared for him. Only then would my biological parents restrain my younger brother a little. Very quickly, semester passed. At the end of the term, I ranked 3rd in the whole grade. Seeing my results, my biological mother sighed with emotion. "You've inherited your parents' intelligence." She let out a long sigh. "If only you and your younger brother could switch places. Why aren't you the one with the problem?" I looked up at her. "Perhaps. This is retribution. It's what you get for abandoning me in the first place." My biological mother's face changed. She raised her hand to slap me, but I raised my hand and blocked it. I said coldly, "If you want me to treat your precious son a little better in the future, then you better be a little more polite to me now. Think about it carefully. After you two are dead, your Xiaobao will be completely under my control." In that moment, my biological mother was so angry her whole body trembled. Her eyes looked like she wanted to eat me alive. I wasn't afraid. I've already looked into it. If I can get into the top 10 of the key high school in the entrance exam, I can get my tuition and dorm fees waived. I just need to get through this next half year. Once I'm in high school, I'll be free. I studied day and night, forgetting to eat or sleep. I was like a sponge, desperately absorbing knowledge, just hoping to add a small weight to the scales of fate. My desk mate sometimes teased me. "Mo Chen, you're studying so hard you're about to become a fool." But he didn't know. If I didn't study, I really would be tied to a fool for the rest of my life. The days flew by. Soon, it was time for the high school entrance exam. After the admission tickets were handed out, the homeroom teacher repeatedly reminded us of related matters. He gave us 2 days off, for us to go home and get a good rest, and adjust our mindset. I was in my room reviewing all my weak points. As a result, that fool started banging on the door again, demanding that I play with him. I put in earplugs and ignored him. Soon my biological mother opened the door with the spare key. "How can you be so hard-hearted? Your younger brother has screamed himself hoarse, and you still won't open the door." My biological father also came over. "Go play with your younger brother for a while. Think of it as a little break." He stormed in. He snatched my error correction notebook and tore it to shreds in a few moves. Then he opened my pencil case and dumped all the pens inside onto the floor. He stomped on them with all his might. My mechanical pencil lead was stomped into 4 or 5 pieces. He also smashed my ceramic drinking cup on the floor. The floor was covered in shards. The more I tried to stop him, the more frantic he became. At first, I tried to reason with him, but he only got worse. My patience was completely worn out. I roared, "Can you stop going crazy?" He stared at me, then gave me a hard shove. I put out my hand to brace myself, barely avoiding hitting the back of my head on the floor, but my palm landed on a broken piece of ceramic. Fresh blood gushed out. The pain was heart-wrenching. I was in so much pain that I kept sucking in cold breaths. I couldn't get up for a long time. It was at this very moment. He opened my exam materials bag and pulled out the admission ticket from inside. He turned his head and stared at me, cackling. I kept shaking my head. I shouted, "Don't, just don't!" But he just laughed maniacally and tore my admission ticket to pieces. It's torn, it's torn, it's all torn. The last shred of sanity in my mind exploded. I grabbed the old-fashioned desk lamp next to me and smashed it hard on his back. "Die, go to hell. I've had enough." My biological parents had been leaning against the door the whole time, chatting while watching him throw a tantrum. Even when he pushed me down, they only said gently, "Xiaobao, don't hit your brother." But now, they rushed over with tense faces. My biological mother hugged him tightly, asking if he was hurt, if he was okay. And my biological father raised his hand and slapped me hard. He tore off his mask, revealing his true, hideous face. "He's your younger brother. How could you be so cruel to him? How can your heart be so cold? We've treated you so well, and we still couldn't warm you up." The back of my foolish brother's neck was cut open from my blow. My biological mother was extremely worried and insisted on taking him to the hospital. As she was about to leave, she looked at me with utter disgust. "You're an ungrateful brat anyway. Since it's come to this, you can just forget about taking the high school entrance exam. From now on, just stay home and be a good boy and play with Xiaobao. They took the phone and locked me in the room on the 8th floor. I pounded on the door with all my strength. But outside the study was a long hallway. The main door was at the end of the hallway. My desperate cries for help couldn't possibly travel such a long distance. I also tried shouting for help from the floors above and below. Still, no one responded. My palm hurt a lot. I haphazardly wrapped the wound with a cloth, but the blood kept seeping out. From dawn till dusk, my biological parents still hadn't returned. The admission ticket was gone. I had to get a new one. The exam was the day after tomorrow. I had to get out. I had worked so hard for so many years. I had always endured. All so I could get into a key high school and escape this place. If I couldn't take the exam, how could I face my adoptive parents? How could I repay them for raising me? My future, my life would be completely ruined. I paced around the room anxiously. My eyes fell on the bedsheet. An idea sparked in my mind. I ripped off the bedsheets, duvet cover, and curtains and tied them together. I tied the rope to the anti-theft window bars. Then I used the lighter my deskmate had casually thrown into my school bag. I lit one end and threw it down. It was already dark. The blazing fire finally attracted attention. I was saved. The police helped me call my adoptive father. I was sobbing uncontrollably. Dad, I'm sorry. Dad, can you come and save me? I really need you. I don't want to cause you trouble, but in this world, maybe only you and Mom would overcome all difficulties to come and save me. Such a big commotion. Also alarmed my biological parents. They had taken that fool to the hospital. When they found me, they still reeked of hot pot. The doctor was treating my wound. A piece of broken ceramic was embedded in my flesh. That's why it hurt so much. The blood wouldn't stop flowing. My biological father hastily explained to the policewoman who was with me. We are his parents. He's just being disobedient. We just wanted to punish him a little. Sorry to have troubled you all. I'll take him home now. After saying that, he came to grab my hand. I shook his hand off and tightly grabbed the policewoman's sleeve. I said, trembling, "They're not my parents. They're just my distant relatives. I'm just staying at their house temporarily. You can ask around the neighborhood. Many people know him their distant nephew." My biological father's mouth twitched. Your parents entrusted you to us. We are your legal guardians. We have the responsibility to discipline you. Stop being so willful. Come back with us. You have no relatives here. Where could you possibly go? He has a place to go. A firm voice rang out. I can take care of him. It was my eldest brother. His hair was a mess. His buttons were misaligned. He ran to me in just a few steps. He hurriedly circled me. Where are you hurt? Does it hurt a lot? Seeing that I was okay, he let out a sigh of relief. Mom and Dad are on their way. I was on a business trip in Shenzhen. He called me and told me to come first. He gently patted my shoulder. I'm sorry. Big brother is late. Don't be afraid. Mo Chen, I have a job now. I can support the family from now on. My panicked heart was soothed. I hugged him and sobbed. My eldest brother's tears also streamed down his face. But my biological parents refused to let me go. We have the DNA test results. Mo Chen is our son. My eldest brother let out a cold laugh. You are both civil servants. I recall that you're only allowed to have one child. You have 2 sons. I'm sure you wouldn't want your leaders and colleagues to know about this, right? Do I need to go and report it? His words were sharp. His gaze was piercing. He was not at all the quiet eldest brother from my memories. My biological mother was so angry the veins on her face twitched. Word by word, she said, if that's how it is, the 30,000 yuan we lent you a year ago, shouldn't you pay it back to us? My eldest brother said firmly. Who wants your dirty money? I sure as hell don't want it. We'll pay it back tomorrow. He took me to a hotel. After 1 a.m., my adoptive mother, father, and second brother, who had just finished his college entrance exams, rushed over shortly after. Our whole family hugged and sobbed. My adoptive father took out a bank card. Don't worry about that 30,000 yuan. We have over 10,000 left from the medical treatment last time. We didn't touch it. After I got out of the hospital, I sat in front of the debtors' houses with a cleaver and got back all the money they owed. This year, I found a good boss. The wages are paid monthly, and I've saved up quite a bit. Your eldest brother can also help out. I was unwilling. I already tore up the IU. They're the ones who owe us. For the past 10+ years, haven't Mom and Dad spent much more than 30,000 yuan on me? My adoptive father glared at me. What do you know? By paying back this money, you won't owe them any favors. How they live or die in the future will have nothing to do with you. If they dare to bother you again, you can slap them right in the face. As long as we don't take their money, you can hold your head high in front of them for the rest of your life. My eldest and second brothers also supported our parents' decision. You're our little brother. You're a son of the Mo family, so we'll be the ones to raise you. We don't need outsiders' money. My tears couldn't help but flow again. My adoptive father scolded me. All you know is how to cry. For the past year, every time you called, you said you were doing great. Don't you have a mouth? He was scolding me, but his voice was also choked with emotion. You have no idea how much your mother and I worried about you, you heartless child. After a whole day of chaos, I was exhausted. I groggily fell asleep. I heard my adoptive mother sigh. Look how thin Mo Chen has become. I can't imagine how much he's suffered this past year. I thought he'd have a good life with his parents in the city. If I had known, I wouldn't have let him go even if I died from my illness. My adoptive father comforted her. Stop crying. You won't be pretty if you keep crying. The hardest time for our family is over. From now on, it's all going to be good days. Early the next morning, I went to school to get a new admission ticket. Besides the school seal, I also needed a seal from the District Education Bureau. The homeroom teacher couldn't get in touch with the relevant official. He gave me a suggestion. Mo Chen, why don't you try calling your desk mate? Aren't you two on very good terms? His family probably has connections. The situation was urgent. I had no choice but to brazenly give it a try. Unexpectedly, he agreed readily. With his family's help, we successfully got the seal from the Education Bureau. After sorting out the admission ticket, I went with my adoptive mother to pay back the money, and to get my luggage at the same time. For anything my biological parents had bought, they wouldn't let me take it. My biological mother dropped the act. She said mockingly, Mo Chen, you better think this through. We have a house and a car. We give you the best food, clothes, and things. With them, even if you pass the high school exam, you might not get to go. In the countryside, don't they just go to work after middle school? I stared coldly at my biological mother. Who are you? What the hell does it have to do with you? In the future, I will definitely get into a key high school and a key university, and I will live a better and better life. But your son will get older and more foolish. You'll never be free of him your entire lives. After you're dead, he might end up on the streets, digging through trash cans. My biological parents' faces turned green with rage. He said fiercely, wait until you grow up and enter society. You'll realize what you've missed out on. When you come begging us then, we won't give you another chance. I heard this and laughed. I looked at them coldly. Beg you for what? Beg you to monitor me, to control me, or beg you to let me be a nanny for your foolish son? Such a good deal, you should go find someone else. My adoptive mother was worried, so she gritted her teeth and spent the money to rent a hotel room to stay with me for the exam. After the exam, we returned to the village and were pointed at and talked about by Auntie Kuihua and Ong Wang. Why are you so stupid? Your biological parents have a house and a car and live in the big city. You should have been shameless and clung to their family. Wait until they die. You can put that foolish brother of yours in a mental hospital, and the house, car, and money will all be yours. They sighed regretfully. You were truly born with a poor fate. You even chased away wealth when it came to you. Do you think you can live a good life following your parents? Are you really planning to take the high school entrance exam yourself? Go to university and earn a lot of money? These days, getting into a good university isn't as easy as you think. Even if you get in, your second brother is also starting university this year. When the time comes, your parents will definitely prioritize their biological son. My adoptive father heard these words and he ran to their doorstep and gave them a piece of his mind. Some people were dogs in their past lives, and even after becoming human in this life, they can't change their dog-like nature, always fawning over others, wanting to be their dog, licking their stinky feet. We are human, we walk with our heads held high, we sit with our backs straight. With such a long tongue, be careful it doesn't fall down your throat when you sleep, and you choke yourself to death. Auntie Kuihua and Ong Wang didn't dare to say a word. I was astonished. My adoptive father brushed off his sleeves, hiding his great merits and fame. Ever since I recovered, my spirits have been much better. Now, if anyone dares to make me unhappy, I'll just lie down in front of their house and scare them to death. The results of the entrance exams were out soon. My second brother scored more than 90 points above the first-tier cutoff, and he chose a 985 university in Xincheng. Second brother, didn't you want to go out of the province to see the world? In Xincheng, it's good too. During the summer break, we can still meet up and go to the haunted house. No, I'll pass on that. Auntie Kuihua and Ong Wang hoped I would fail the exam, but I disappointed them. I did quite well on the exam. My score was very high. They started whispering again. The provincial high school's tuition is so expensive, his adoptive mother will surely have to sell everything she owns. As it turned out, I was exactly the person who ranked 10th for that key high school. According to the rules, I could get a waiver for tuition and dormitory fees. Auntie Kuihua and Ong Wang were so angry they almost broke their teeth. Some people are just like that. They laugh at those who have nothing and hate those who have something. When others live better than them, it's as if their hearts are being fried in a pan of oil, sizzling. It's unbearable. But hearing about the tuition and dorm fee waiver, my adoptive mother breathed a sigh of relief. During the entire summer break, I hardly did any farm work. I just used my second brother's books to study the 10th grade curriculum at home. After school started, I unexpectedly ran into my desk mate at school again. I was surprised. You passed the exam too? He rolled his eyes. How could that be? I relied entirely on my special abilities. He pulled me aside and furtively gestured to the phone in his pocket. If you need to make a call in the future, just find me. It's free. Thanks, but I don't need it anymore. I'm back with my parents now. He looked a little disappointed. So, can I still copy your homework in the future? No, I shook my head. But I can tutor you for free. I'm not the studying type. Although he said that, he still came to ask me questions from time to time. You could tell he was trying to study hard. My eldest brother insisted on being responsible for my living expenses. He's working in the internet industry now. His income is very high. These few hundred yuan are nothing. That was when the internet was just starting to boom. Online games were developing rapidly, and there were opportunities everywhere. My eldest brother studied computer science. After graduating, he and his friends started an online payment website. It was an emerging industry back then, and the profits were considerable. Judging from the clothes and shoes he bought me, he had really made a lot of money. High school is full of hidden talents. You have to give it 120% focus just to maintain your ranking. My eldest brother was making money. My second brother always worked part-time while in university. The contractor my adoptive father worked for was a very kind person, and my adoptive father's illness didn't relapse. During those 3 years, I wasn't distracted at all. I always gave it my all. Many classmates participated in competitions. If they got good results, they could get direct admission. But my subjects were always quite balanced, with no single subject being particularly outstanding. After trying to solve a few practice exams, my homeroom teacher advised me to just take the normal path. I have seen the clouds at 5:30 in the morning. I have heard the sound of rain at 12 midnight. I quietly did reading comprehension in the silent classroom at noon. I have skipped PE class, drenched in sweat, to solve math problems. Throughout high school, I felt like I was reading a book called Mu-chen. Sometimes I wanted to flip quickly to the last page to see my ending. Other times I wanted to slow down a bit so I could learn one more vocabulary word, memorize one more piece of knowledge, and do one more exercise. But time waits for no one. The university entrance exam finally arrived. The entire exam hall was filled with the rustling sound of pens, which reminded me of the summer when I was 6. It was hot back then, and the village often had power outages. My adoptive father had used an old bedsheet to make me a hammock in the bamboo forest. In summer, the bamboo leaves were dense, covering the entire sky. The wind blew, rustling the bamboo leaves, carrying a faint, pleasant scent of bamboo. I would fall into a deep sleep amidst that white noise and never have nightmares. They gave me the greatest love in the world. I must also make them proud and bring them honor. From my earliest memories at 3 or 4 until now at 18, the small village has also undergone great changes. More and more people went out and saw the outside world. They all knew the benefits of studying. Because he's not their biological son, his adoptive parents are under even more scrutiny. Their 2 sons will have to get married in the future. Who knows how much money that will cost? But they are so generous, spending all their money on their adopted son. They must have a problem with their heads. Our village has never had a family, with 2 university students. Having even one is already amazing. On the day the exam scores were released, before dawn, my adoptive mother was already awake. She was flustered and busy. She forgot to add rice when cooking pig feed, forgot to press the cook button on the rice cooker when making porridge. She forgot to add salt when stir-frying vegetables, and forgot to bring paper when going to the toilet. Even the chickens, ducks, geese, and dogs at home were scolded by her several times. I really couldn't stand it anymore. Mom, please sit still. Stop pacing back and forth. There's still an hour until the results are out. When the time came, I held the Nokia phone my eldest brother bought for Dad and called the hotline to check the score. My adoptive father's hand gripped my arm tightly. We listened to the score being read out on the phone. Mu-chen, total university entrance exam score is 679. That year, the first-tier cutoff for the science stream was 536. Right after I checked the score, a call came from my homeroom teacher. Mu-chen, based on your current ranking in the province, combined with the admission quotas for Tsinghua and Beta in our province this year, you should be able to get in, but you have to choose a major, so think it over carefully at home. My adoptive father dazedly asked me what that meant. You can get into Tsinghua or Beta? I smiled and said, there's a good chance. He beamed and took out a string of firecrackers he had prepared from the cabinet. After setting off a popping string of firecrackers, he put on his straw hat and went out. Where are you going in this noon sun? Going for a walk to digest my food, and so, his hearty laughter could be heard all afternoon. Mu-chen scored 679. His homeroom teacher said he could get into Tsinghua or Beta. Oh my, what a hassle. His mother and I aren't educated, so we can't even help him fill out his application. Back then, we only picked him up because we felt sorry for him. We never expected him to be so good at studying. We'll have to support him for another 4 years of study. I don't know when his mother and I will ever get to rest. He said he was pitiful, but that beaming expression of his was clearly showing off, almost making Auntie Kuihua and Ong Wang's teeth ache with jealousy. If we knew getting into Tsinghua or Beta was so easy, we would have let Duan Shi study for a few more years back then. She was quite smart back then, too. When the acceptance letter was delivered to the village, my adoptive father used it as a sun hat and paraded it all over the village. A road of just a few hundred meters took him a whole afternoon to walk home. He even went to provoke Auntie Kuihua and Ong Wang on purpose. You two used to say that my family's little boy couldn't get into a good university. My Mu-chen just breezed through and got into Tsinghua. Your precious son will surely have to study abroad in the future, right? He'll have to be more capable than our Mu-chen. Otherwise, it would be unfair to his sister, who had to work to support the family right after junior high. Auntie Kuihua and Ong Wang almost died of anger. Such a great happy occasion, of course, called for a celebration. My adoptive mother and 2 brothers all came home. My eldest brother alone bought over 2,000 yuan worth of fireworks. Everyone in the village came to the feast, and there was also a pair of uninvited guests, my biological parents. My biological father looked at me, filled with emotion. You are indeed our son. You inherited our intelligence and got into Tsinghua. Living expenses in Beijing are high. Your father and I have discussed it. From now on, your tuition and living expenses will be our responsibility. My biological father chimed in. That's right, you are our son after all. I laughed. Getting into Tsinghua, intelligence is of course very important, but if I hadn't worked relentlessly, would intelligence alone have been enough? I refused them. There's no need. Don't you two know? If you get into Tsinghua, the school gives you a reward, the city gives you a reward, and the village and county also give rewards. I looked my biological parents straight in the eye. I only have one set of parents, and they are the ones who pulled me out of the river and endured great hardship to raise me. You two don't count. My biological mother lost her temper again. Don't think you're so great just because you got into Tsinghua. We gave birth to you. We have the DNA test to prove it. I gave a cold laugh, looking at her defiantly. So what? I don't mind spending a little time to officially get a certificate severing our ties. Furthermore, do you want me to sue you in court for abandonment? If your son was a normal child, would you still have wanted to find me? I'm an adult now, so what if you're my biological parents? You can't control me anymore. The door is over there. See yourselves out. You are not welcome here. As my biological father was about to leave, he said apologetically, Mu Chen, your mother and I had no choice. Our generation has to carry on the family line. We were wrong. Can you forgive us? No, I'm not a saint. If I forgive you too, wouldn't that make all of my adoptive mother's years of hardship a joke? I later learned that year happened to be the stock market crash. All of my biological parents' money was tied up in stocks, and it had almost all evaporated. Their assets now only consisted of a house, a car, and a little bit of savings. Wanting to pay for my tuition now and living expenses was likely because they hoped to get something in return from me in the future. I received quite a bit of prize money after deducting tuition and living expenses. I still had more than half left. My eldest brother and I pooled our money and bought a house in Shenzhen. The deed was in our parents' names. At that time, the villagers still preferred to build their own houses, spending a lot of money to build a house in the countryside that was both large and grand. It looked luxurious on the outside, but was actually empty inside, completely unfurnished. When we went to Shenzhen to buy a house, many people scoffed. A house in the city is as small as a pigeon coop. What's so good about living there? The Mu family's old house must be about to collapse. House prices are falling now. I heard that even city people are selling their houses. I didn't think that much about it. I just thought about buying a house near a hospital, so it would be convenient for my adoptive father to see a doctor in the future. Besides, my deskmate also told me, just buy it. My parents seem to be buying houses all over the country recently, saying something about bottom fishing for low prices. My mom has a good eye. She rarely loses money. He worked hard for 3 years and got into a top university. His mother was overjoyed, and she even specially treated me to a meal to thank me for tutoring him for the past 3 years. And she also taught me how to buy a house, telling me that location is very important, telling me which projects were of good quality, and which developers and management were reliable. About a year after getting the title deed for the house on the 3rd Ring Road in the capital, house prices started to skyrocket. My adoptive father started showing off all over the village again. You tell me, my Mu Chen and Xiaofeng, what's the point of buying a house in Xincheng? We're more used to living in the countryside. We don't want to live in that pigeon coop that costs over 100,000 per square meter. As he got older, my adoptive father's favorite thing to do was to show off, bragging that my eldest brother earns tens of thousands a month, bragging that my second brother got into Zhejiang University for his master's, bragging about the expensive birthday gifts I bought for them. My second brother couldn't stand it. Old man, can you be a little more humble? Aren't you afraid no one will talk to you in the future? My adoptive father pinched his ear. You have no respect for your elders. Is old man what you call me? Just yesterday, your mother said I only look like I'm in my early 30s. My adoptive father already had some gray hair, and his back was slightly stooped. But in my eyes, he was indeed still in his early 30s, the man who stood with his hands on his hips scolding me while making a toy car for me. He will forever be vibrant, forever young, forever loving me.